King, he's back in the news, believe it or not. For those who are not aware, let me just show you his picture. Shaun King, also known as Talcum X. People have all kind of nicknames for him. We'll get into that in a second. Activist, mainly known for speaking out against police brutality. He started a PAC. He tried to raise money for families that had family members that were killed from police brutality. And he has received a lot of backlash over the years, obviously. One of them being this one, because he's back into the news again. Shaun King under fire after his PAC paid $40,000 for a guard dog. So one of the things that Shaun King has been criticized for is taking PAC money and using it for personal expenses. Tamir Rice's mother actually spoke out publicly against Shaun King and said that he actually took their story and publicized it in such a way that she did not actually give him permission to do. She also called him a white man. We'll get into all of this. But there have been family members that were not happy with Shaun King, and they felt like along the way, he has basically just profited off of police brutality killings. And I agree to that. He took this money and used it for personal use. Controversial activist Shaun King is facing scrutiny after his political action committee reportedly paid over $40,000 to a California breeder for a guard dog. However, he apparently returned the pooch because it had too much energy. King announced via Facebook that he welcomed a mastiff named Mars, which he called a new member of the King family. His post is no longer publicly accessible. The FEC records show that the Grassroots Law PAC made a pair of payments to Potrero Performance's dogs, including a $10,000 contractor deposit. That was on December 6th. 2 months later, the PAC, which claims to end oppressive policing, incarceration, and injustice, paid Potrero another $30,650. There were also accusations against Shaun King saying that he had like $1 million house. Like, obviously, he found a subject, a sad subject that he actually was able to profit off of. But when you have a PAC, you don't take PAC money for a certain cause and use it for personal expenses. And every time that Shaun King has been called out for his behavior, he will deactivate his accounts on Twitter. Don't know about Facebook. I'm not on Facebook as much, but on Twitter, he has done this multiple times, right? Every time he's called out for spending money in a way that he is not supposed to. Still, according to the Free Beacon, Mars was alleged to serve double duty, providing alertness and protection to the PAC and serving as a family pet. On Potrero's Instagram, a since deleted post from earlier this month reportedly showed the dog at an American Kennel Club competition where it won Best in Show. With the breeder captioning the post, Mars has a little too much energy to be a family dog, so he came back. So again, notice it said that post was deleted. This is something that he was kind of known for doing. The $40,000 plus that Grassroots Law PAC allegedly spent on the dog is nearly equal to the $56,000 in contributions it made to a non-federal political candidates in 2021, as detailed by the Free Beacon. The luxury dog expense may not be illegal for a PAC, but it shows little respect for King's donors. Scott Walker, a think tank Capital Research Center member, told the publication. King, who also lives in a lavish lakefront home in New Jersey, has raised the ire of many people over his fundraising efforts and financial dealings. He's been accused of soliciting money in the name of 12-year-old police shooting victim Tamir Rice without his mother's permission. That was the one I was telling you about. I don't understand how you sleep at night, Samaria Rice wrote on Instagram last year. In 2019, King also gave critics an unfettered look at his finances, breaking down the $34.5 million he raised since the Black Lives Matter movement began through a team of experts called the Shaun King Financial Review Board. The review board claimed it found absolutely no evidence of inappropriateness from its founder. Okay, but yeah, I mean, you're on his board. He chose you. So obviously they're not going to speak ill of him, right? We searched and we asked, added the board at the time. No single family, charity cause, or campaign said Shaun was ever compensated directly or indirectly for his online fundraising. But one of the issues that people had is that Shaun King obviously took PAC money and used it for personal expenses, which he should not have done. And then there was this claim. There was also the claim that Shaun King was pretending to be a black man and he actually was white. I kid you not. Even CNN talked about it. There have been many claims against Shaun King. This one is the one where I think more people called him Talcum X because of this.
I have tremendous respect for the work that he's done. But when you're, if you hold yourself up to something that is not what you claim to be, then that's a problem if you're a leader. Now, I'm not saying that he's doing that, but that is what's in question now, and that's why this story is newsworthy. Here's what he said to me. So I asked him about it because there are all these claims about him, whether he's black, white, biracial, right, or whether was there a civil a hate crime that happened to him back in 1995. And I said to him last night, I said, what would you like to convey? And he said, number one, this attack isn't about me so much, but about derailing Black Lives Matter and the movement against police brutality. And he said, number two, the reports are all lies. I tried hard to debunk them, and others have said, that they are lies as well. And then he said, I will speak soon. And I asked him specifically, I said, you know, are you legally black? Are you legally white? Or are you biracial? Are you black or white? He says, I am biracial. And I said, is that what it is on your birth certificate? He did not answer. So,
and just to be clear here, it doesn't, like, to me, like, if you're, look, I don't care what color you are, if you want to advocate for, you know, against police brutality, if you want to advocate for the black community, it doesn't matter to me if you're black, biracial, white, etc. But I think the problem with Shaun King is that it's been very clear that Shaun King is not who he said he was. You shouldn't have to lie about who you are. Whatever it is on his birth certificate, I don't know. But I mean, this goes back to, what was the woman's name? Rachel Dolezal, right? Like, I had no issue with the fact that she wanted to advocate for the black community, but I did have a problem with the fact that she was lying to people for all these years saying that she was black and she wasn't. So it's those kind of things.
And that's a tough part because no one can defend you like you can defend yourself, right? And it's not our role to defend him. I know people are upset saying, why does it matter? Why does it matter? It mattered for Rachel Dolezal, who was excoriated in the media because people said, you know,
who had to leave her post at the NAACP,
and who did great work for the NAACP, raised thousands of dollars, helped a lot of people. Shaun King has done the same thing, and it's a little bit odd to many people because the reaction is different among some because maybe he's a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, but also women are saying it's sexist because why didn't you not accept Rachel Dolezal, but you're accepting Shaun King?
I think this is also just bubbling up, so we'll see where it goes. I do want to read this to our viewers, though, because this is what Shaun King's wife, Ray, posted on Facebook today. She wrote, regarding his race, he has never lied, not once. His story is beautifully difficult and painful, and I've actually encouraged him to tell it publicly because it's a unique expression of this country's sordid and ridiculous history with race. But it's his story to tell on his own terms when he is ready to tell it out of respect for his mother.
Okay.
There could be so much more
let me tell you
at
that.
play
Okay,
here.
so this is...
So I didn't even agree with what she said there about being more at play. I didn't think there was more at play, regardless of whatever his story is in the past. The thing is this: Shaun King found a way to take a subject and to profit off of it handsomely. Okay. He saw a subject that was it was trending at that point in time, police brutality, whether it was Tamir Rice, whether it was George Floyd, etc. Michael Brown. He saw a topic that was trending. He found a way to make a profit. You have to remember, Shaun King came from TYT. Some people don't know that. But if you look it up, you'll see Shaun King came from TYT. So he was another person that came from that network and found a way that he could profit more. So one of the issues that I had with Shaun King is that I felt like he was profiting off of police brutality deaths. And he was. This guy is rich. He got rich off of this. It's not like he was just some beat street reporter. Like, he got rich off of it, had a PAC, created a PAC for it, then started taking PAC money to use it for personal expenses, had like $1 million home. And obviously, if you're trying to advocate for those issues, a lot of these family members that Shaun King said he spoke to said they didn't see any of that money in return. And he was supposed to be helping them. It is what it is. I don't care about the sob story, man. I don't need to hear a story about your past. I don't need to hear about all that. The thing is, you found a way to profit off of it, and you lied about who you were.
From the very beginning, I've known that this is probably the case, but I can't tell his story for him. I can only report the facts. So, and as I said to him, and I won't tell you what his response was, but I sent him a text this morning, and I said, and this is a very honest moment that I didn't practice. Let me see if I can find my text to him. I said, I say that because I was texting him this morning to tell him that I appreciate him considering coming on and giving me the statement for last night. And I say that because I empathize with you. I said, I don't care what color you are. I said, my mom is mixed. I grew up in a small racist town. My mom had an affair with my dad, who was not her husband, and I am the product of that relationship. People called me a bastard. They called me the N-word. They called me high yellow, half white, blah, 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 on and on. And I said, so peace to you. I understand that. So it doesn't mean that the person who is on your birth certificate is necessarily your father. But I can't tell that story for him. It's up to him to tell that story. If that is whatever the case may be.
Which we don't know.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of, because it happens to a lot of people. I wrote about it in a book, and it was very liberating for not only me, but for my entire family.
So take us back to 1990.
This was Don Lemon. So at this point in time, this was Don Lemon trying to run cover for Shaun King, because CNN, like, they promoted him. A lot of like liberal networks at that point in time did. They promoted him. They gave him shout outs. They brought him on. So this is Don trying to say, I can't really, speak for those people, who went through that at that time. Listen, you don't see a grift in front of you. You don't see an obvious grift.
97, right? He's 15 years old. He's in school. He's talked about this multiple times and has witnesses who point to him being attacked, whether it was by a group or by a singular person being attacked. His wife says she was there for the surgeries that he had to endure after he was beaten. Another person reportedly saw the assault. The fact is, does it matter if he's black or not? If
matter.
He was attacked for being perceived to be.
That's not the point. The point is that he said it was a hate crime, one of Kentucky's first hate crimes. The officer, the detective who investigated it, said that's not so.
You heard that, right? So that was one of the claims that Shaun King had, is that he was the victim of a hate crime. But this has been debunked multiple, who is this guy, right? So who was Shaun King? And every now and then he'll appear again in the spotlight, in the media, in the news. Something else happens with him. He'll get embarrassed, and then he'll deactivate his Twitter account over and over. He's done this multiple times. Instead of just keeping it real with people, telling people who you are, and just keeping it real.
The police report doesn't show it as a hate crime. So I think that's why people are so concerned about it. Now, his family did tell us, CNN Tonight, that it was racially motivated, they believe, because he was white and dating a black woman who is now his wife. So was it a racist attack according to them? Yes. Was it a hate crime? The evidence doesn't seem to point that way.
Oh, man. So I brought up those two examples the claim that Shaun King is actually white and the example of him using PAC money to pay for personal expenses, because Shaun King is in the news again. Now, this time, a different situation. And Michael Rappaport, Mr. Big Mouth himself on Twitter with his crazy videos, has some things to say about Shaun King, because now it appears that Shaun King apparently has been banned from Instagram over Israel-Gaza post. Let's get into it straight from the Daily Beast. Oh my God. Shaun King claims Instagram banned him over Israel-Gaza post. So this story broke earlier this morning. Controversial activist Shaun King claimed Instagram removed his profile on Monday because his pro-Palestinian post. King, an anti-racist activist and writer with a string of failed projects behind him, posted a video on a friend's Instagram account Sunday, thanking his 6 million followers for their support since his profile was taken down. "I'm grateful. I'm safe. And I've been through much harder times than being banned on Instagram." King then pivoted to criticism of Meta, saying the company had decided to stand in the way of those of us who are fighting for human rights and dignity of Palestinians. "Frustrated that Instagram has banned me for fighting for Palestine and speaking up for the human rights and dignity of Palestinians. But I refuse to betray my values and principles by staying quiet or silent, about this genocide and war crimes in Gaza and the West Bank," he said in the caption. So let's talk about this, and then we'll get back to it. So I, for one, am against censorship. You guys know how I feel about that. I don't agree with people being removed from TikTok is removing people right now. They removed Glenn Greenwald. They removed Lee Camp. They removed me, but I appealed, and then they said it was an error. So I don't know what that was about. It's funny. I rarely post on TikTok anyway. Small account as well. But there have been people being removed from these platforms because of their stances in reference to Israel and Gaza, more so the pro-Palestinian voices. Twitter has been suppressing those voices, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it today. But because it's Shaun King, sometimes it's just hard to believe it. Because it's like, are you telling the truth this time, Shaun? Like, that's the thing. Like, are you telling the truth this time, Shaun? But maybe let's say he is telling the truth. Because what some people are pointing out is that Shaun also is not favorable among the Palestinian community because they also felt like he was using them for a grift. That being said, though, does he deserve the right to be censored? Let's continue here. It says the activist added in the video that he had attorneys and other people involved and would like to return to the platform, but not if that means compromising my values, speaking up for Palestinians. Meta did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Daily Beast, but a spokesperson told the New York Post that King's account was disabled due to multiple instances of praise for designated entities in violation of our policies. His Facebook profile remains active. So this is the part I want you to look at right here. His Facebook profile remains active because Facebook owns Instagram. Meta is now Facebook. Meta is also Instagram. So they're usually like all together here. So why would they remove him from Instagram, but not remove him from Facebook if he has those same posts? And that could be coming. I don't know. That could be coming. But a little weird there. They tend to give a vague reason, though, by the way. That reason that they stated there, I believe that Instagram probably said that. It sounds like something they would say and not tell you exactly what you posted that was problematic to them. The international nonprofit Human Rights Watch recently criticized Meta for what it called systemic censorship of content related to the Israel-Gaza war, saying the social media giant displayed a pattern of undue removal and suppression of protected speech, including peaceful expression in support of Palestine and public debate about Palestinian human rights. The nonprofit named the suspension or removal of accounts as one of Meta's censorship tools. King, who came to prominence as a commentator during the Black Lives Matter movement, previously started and then suddenly shuttered a social justice organization called Justice Together. He then crowdfunded a site called the North Star, a proposed reboot of an old abolitionist newspaper, which the Daily Beast previously reported failed to meet its promises to donors. Responses in the comments under King's video were mixed. Some users called for an Instagram boycott. Others questioned King's intentions. So once again, we have this issue with Shaun King where people are questioning his motive. It goes on to say he is a grifter. He needs to stay off these apps, one user wrote. Now, I don't necessarily agree that someone should be removed from the applications. And I say this because you have to be careful with censorship. I remember when people were cheering when Alex Jones was removed. They were cheering when Donald Trump was removed. But then that censorship started to spread to the left. Right now, Heartland's Media is in danger of losing their channel. If you don't follow Heartland's Media on X, please follow them and you will see this is probably their pinned tweet right now. They have received 3 copyright strikes. If this is not resolved, if YouTube does not fix this by January 1st, Heartland's Media will lose their channel. And I have to give a shout out here to Kit, because for people who don't know, Heartland's Media was one of the very first channels that had me on their show. This is almost 3 years ago. One of the very first ones. Kit has helped a lot of people in this space. And so to see that they're trying to take down Heartland's Media, it's very sad. It hurts my heart. It really does. So we have to be careful when you cheer on some type of censorship. I may not like Shaun King as a person. I may not like some of the things that Shaun King has done. I don't like the fact that Shaun King has basically grifted off police brutality pain, and he has taken that money and used it for other circumstances than what he said he was going to use it for. I don't like any of that. But does that mean that he should be removed from the platforms? Michael Rappaport thinks so. Mr. Big Mouth himself, he says, I guarantee you Shaun King had many, many, many chances to change his propaganda, Hamas-loving ways on IG. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Listen to this, guys. Has he received enough attention yet?
In regards to Talcum X, aka Shaun King, getting kicked off of Instagram, all I have to say is ha, 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 ha. There was a great song from the 70s and it went like this: don't do the crime if you can't do the time. No, don't do it. Listen, this guy's pumping all kinds of bullshit, fake news, fake captions, Looney Tune, whack job, weirdo stuff about how he had something to do with freeing the hostages. I guarantee you, as somebody who has firsthand experience being suspended, I've been suspended so many times right here on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
So this is the part that's interesting. Michael Rappaport is telling you that he has been suspended multiple times, but here he is cheering on someone else being suspended. So it is what it is, folks. Either you're against censorship or you're for censorship. I don't like this whole I'm against censorship for this person, but not for that person. Let's go back a little bit.
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, you get warnings, you read the rules, you have conversations, you try to pull this string, that string. This isn't a park. This isn't a free-for-all. It's social media. These are privately owned companies. If you don't know, you don't follow the rules, you get kicked off. Okay? He thought was sweet. Ain't sweet. Now you're off Instagram. Also, what does Shaun King do for a living? What is his day job? How does he make money? How does he make money? That's beside the point. You're off. Good. And other people have been kicked off. Black people, Jewish people, Puerto Rican people, Chinese people, people from this country, that country, from all over the world. You don't follow the rules, you get kicked off. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Yeah, I don't do it, but it's funny. Ha, you f***. Ha, 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 you f***. You. Bye.
There's just so many things, so many things wrong with what he said there. Like, again, like he's looking at this as though number one is pro-Palestinian content, which Michael has a problem with. Number two, there's also the fact that it's Shaun King, who Michael also has a problem with. But for me, I'm this type of person where I have a problem with Shaun King, but I also have a problem with censorship. So I don't agree with Shaun King being removed. Michael can't seem to remove himself from his dislike of Shaun King and the pro-Palestinian movements and censorship. So that's a big part of the problem. There was something that he said here I want to call out for just a second. I'm sorry you have to hear this again.
Social media, these are privately owned companies. If you don't know, you don't follow the rules, you get kicked off. Okay? He thought was sweet. Ain't sweet. Now you're off Instagram. Also, what does Shaun King do for a living? What is his day job?
Michael, what is Michael doing for a living? Like, what is Michael doing these days? Because I haven't seen Michael in too many movies. Michael, I haven't seen you in too many shows. Recently, I haven't seen Michael in a minute, okay? Michael, what are you doing besides yelling on Twitter every day with the camera so close up to your face like it's a 1990s MTV, like old school, like rap video? Oh, I call the 90s old school. Damn. But what are you doing, Michael? Two, this comment that he made, if you can't follow the rules, I have to push back on that because the rules can change at any time. These platforms have been known to remove people for work and content that was done before they changed their policies. For example, YouTube changes their policy every year. Did you know that? Every year I get an email from YouTube that says, we have updated our policy. We've updated our community guidelines. Sometimes they give more leeway to certain content, but usually they're trying to suppress more content. So the rules can change at any time. Also, just because you follow the rules doesn't mean they won't remove you. All they have to do is disagree with the narrative. They disagree with the narrative. So a lot of the pro-Palestinian content, particularly on Instagram and Facebook, they're either heavily suppressing, they are shadow banning these people, these accounts, or they're just flat out removing them. Some of these people have done nothing wrong other than the fact that they are not out there cheerleading for the state of Israel. This can happen to Michael again. The rules can change at any time. That's the thing. So we have to push back on censorship. We have to stand against censorship. I just told you about what happened to Hardlin's Media. This can happen to anyone. But Michael just wants to cry.
How does he make money? How does he make money? That's beside the point. You're off. Good. And other people have been kicked off. Black people, Jewish people, Puerto Rican people, Chinese people, people from this country, that country, from all over the world. You don't follow the rules, you get kicked off. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Yeah, I don't do it, but it's funny. Ha, you f***. Ha, 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 you f***. You. Bye.
So what I want you to understand again is that I do not agree with the censorship we have to learn how to separate ourselves from the fact that we just don't like someone or we don't like what they've done versus what is happening to them right now when it comes to censorship. But Michael don't have it all together. I want to show you what Michael said on Christmas. Listen to this. There's no Christmas in Gaza. Ho, ho, Hamas. He put a picture here of a white Santa Claus and a black Santa Claus, right? Listen to this. I really think there's something wrong with Michael.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas from Israel. Anybody who's celebrating. Unfortunately, there ain't going to be no Christmas in the Gaza Strip. Santa Claus can't land his sled in Gaza. You think Rudolph, Dancer, and Prancer are going to let Santa Claus land his sled? And that that's been ran into the ground by Hamas? No, Hamas doesn't celebrate Christmas. Hamas doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day, Pride Week. Doesn't do any of that. God forbid Santa was to land his sleigh in the Gaza Strip.
I didn't realize Valentine's Day celebration was this big of a deal, but okay.
Hamas would rob him, possibly rape him. There's no Christmas in Gaza. Sorry. It's sad, but like I said, there's no Valentine's Day, there's no Easter, there's nothing. There is nothing fun in the Gaza Strip because Hamas runs the Gaza Strip. Ho, ho, Hamas. You ruin everything, you.
I really think there's something wrong with Michael. Like, I really do. I really think there's something not right with Mike. And I've seen this guy before in multiple movies, like TV shows, like throughout the 90s. He was in Higher Learning. Actually, it's pretty interesting because in Higher Learning, he played a white supremacist. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho to that. So it's just, there's something off about Michael. At first I just thought Michael maybe just wanted some attention. Maybe he felt like he wasn't getting enough attention, or maybe he just wasn't paying attention to the story, to the narrative, etc. But as time has gone by, I think there is something wrong with Michael. I really do. Strange guy. But Shaun King has been banned from Instagram again. You don't got to like Shaun King. You ain't got to appreciate Shaun King. But the censorship is a problem, especially for the pro-Palestinian voices. A lot of these outlets are coming after those voices and anyone that has a narrative that is different from the State Department, right? So we got to be careful. You can't be cheering on censorship, whether you like the person or not. That's how I look at it. Let me go to some of the comments here. Saul said, saw some shit about Tamir Rice. Mom says he's fundraised off of her dead son and gave her $60K out of $4 million. Tia says, Lemon, there are many black people who are mixed and didn't screw people over. Don't make excuses for that guy. Bad Cookie said, very true, Sabby. And when he was getting suspended, he was crying about it like a little boop. I got to be careful with the profanity on here, guys. They be coming for me. Up Nup Husky says his tweet wasn't even coherent.